What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with a review for The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 1, episode number 7, and the episode was titled Fashion Faux Pas. All right, you guys. So, sorry this video might be a little bit later than what I normally put them up. I had to charge my phone up, and then I took a nap, and I almost forgot about you guys. Sorry. But we're here nonetheless. So let's go ahead and just jump into this episode review, shall we? All right, you guys. So everything that I'm recording now, I'm recording it for the second time because when I first recorded it, I didn't realize that I was sitting straight in front of the camera instead of sitting how I sit so that you guys can see the women. All right. So to me, this episode felt like it was a filler episode because some of the ladies had absolutely nothing in this episode, and this one right here, she ain't had shit. I mean, her scenes, her one scene that she had. Actually, she had 2 scenes, and I'm talking about Meredith 2.0, aka Lisa. Now, we'll say that the design of her bottle, I really did love the design of her bottle for her tequila. Beautiful design. So we later see Lisa with her husband and with her kids. So I was paying attention, but I wasn't. I know that they were making goals. I think they were making goals for 2020. I was like, oh, if y'all were making goals for 2020, them goals were gone as soon as the year started. Because I had goals myself for 2020. I was going to go to Mexico for my birthday. I was going to, what else was I going to do this year? I was going to go to Mexico for my birthday. I was going to go out of town for New Year's Eve, which I'm not doing that. I don't want to be in a crowd of people. Well, it ain't going to be no crowds, unfortunately. So yeah, I had a lot of plans for 2020. Really had a lot of plans. So yeah, back to Lisa. Lisa in this scene, it just wasn't much. I commended her for having her sons come up with goals. Now, like I've been saying for the last few weeks about Lisa, when it comes down to Lisa, I just feel like she is all about self. Because when her husband, which I forget what his name is, when he was talking about them, she was in her phone the whole entire time, and I'm just like, dude, I still feel that he's in a marriage by himself. She only focuses on herself. But that is it for Lisa, and let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys, next up, let's talk about Jen. Now, much like with Lisa, Jen didn't have a whole lot in this episode to discuss. She didn't have a whole lot separately to discuss. She does have something that I do want to discuss, and I'll talk about that when I get to Whitney. So Jen, that's what I'm talking about. So Jen, we see her at home, and she's getting ready for her day, and then her 4th assistant comes in, and I'm trying to figure out why does she need so many assistants. I really feel like her assistants are just hired friends because Sharif is not around. And that is another thing, Sharif. Why is he not around? I don't get that. Yes, he's a football coach, a college football coach, but that's seasonal. So football season is from August up until December if you go to the playoffs. And if he's at one of them schools that plays like, for Christmas, like New Year's and all that kind of stuff, which I don't know what school is in Salt Lake City. So I doubt that he's playing like in those bowls or anything, like the Capital One Bowl. What else? What other bowl is it? It's so many bowls. Actually, I mean, and they're getting ready to come up. That's the only way that I can see Sharif being gone for so long, and he's not even a head coach. I just don't get it. Why is he gone so much? When did they film this? I know they filmed the show last year. I'm almost positive they filmed the show towards the end of last year, towards around this time last year. So I'm just confused why he's never around. So Jen is talking about the fact that, when her father passed, she, dealt with anxiety and depression. And, I understand exactly what that feeling is, losing my mom. So I definitely know what that feeling is. So she calls Sharif, I guess for one of his pep talks because, she's talking about how, before she got on the medication, she was lashing out. Now she said that Sharif, told her that, she said he was almost out of the marriage. I'm like, girl, he's already out the marriage and now what are you talking about? But she said, also she was saying that, the same thing that, we all say in the black community, which is, anytime you have any kind of, depression, anxiety, anything like that, they always tell us to go to the church and pray on it, which that's not always what we need. Sometimes we need, medication. We need to see a therapist and things like that. Now, Jen, like I said, she's on medication for anxiety and depression. And I'm not trying to be shady or anything in this situation, but if you're on medication, why do okay, so you might not be lashing out at your family, but you're still lashing out at the women, and more specifically, you're lashing out at Mary. So, do you skip your medication on certain days? Is your medication not strong enough? What is it? Because I don't understand it. Not being funny or shady, I'm just asking a question, but let's move on. All right, you guys. Next up, let's talk about Heather real quick. So Heather, she's at her spa and she looks on the calendar and she notices that Whitney is coming in that day. So Whitney does show up. And the reason why Whitney is showing up is because I guess her skin had a bad reaction to something that they put on her face at Meredith's fashion show, which we'll talk about Meredith's fashion show in just a little bit. So, Whitney and Heather, they sit down and they have a conversation. So, Whitney is asking Heather, like, how does she come up with, the Clinton, the spot that she has. And Heather's telling her, how, oh my God, did I delete my notes? No. So she's telling her, how she was, I think she said she was doing some marketing on social media for her husband when they were together. I will say that I do have a lot of respect for Heather, because she divorced her husband, and I know she said he takes care of them, but I do respect the fact that she, although he has taken care of her, she's still out getting her own money and not so dependent on this man. So I have much respect for Heather in that aspect. But the other thing about Heather is, honestly, I want Heather to know what her self-worth is because I don't think she knows that. And then they're talking to, Heather and Whitney were talking about her dad, who's in a sober living. And they once again talk about the Mormon church and how the Mormon church views, divorce, how they view, addiction. I just don't understand how you can be a part of a religion that looks down on you for doing certain things. Like, he without sin cast the first stone. Like, I don't get how the church can dictate all these stupid rules. They're not God. Like, I just couldn't be, I really, honest to God, you guys couldn't be a part of a religion that is like that. I just couldn't. I really couldn't. But what I want for Heather is I want for Heather to know who she is, know her self-worth, value herself, and say, fuck the Mormon church and let me move on with my life. So then we do see Heather later in the episode and she's talking to her girls. And Heather feels some type of way about being divorced and having her girls. And I don't want to say I was listening to what she was saying, but at the same time, I was just thinking to myself, I was listening to what she was saying, and I'm not going to regurgitate what she was saying. But I don't know why she would feel like she's, less than, or, she has a negative impact on her daughters. Like, I don't understand it. All you have to do is down with your daughters, and I think as long as you're happy, your kids will be happy for you. I don't think that I know that. And what Heather can do with her girls is sit down with her girls. Don't put the same expectations on your girls that were placed on you, because you said it more than once. You didn't marry for love. You married for what the religion wanted. So tell your girls, sit down with your girls, have a conversation with them, tell them, know who they are, love themselves, and don't just get with a guy or marry a guy just to fit this mold, this stereotype or whatever. Marry someone because that is your best friend and because you can't live without them. Do that. I just want Heather to love herself, because I really feel like Heather, I'm not going to say she has low self-esteem, but I just feel like she doesn't love herself completely. And that makes sense to you guys. But let's move on. All right, guys, let's talk about Meredith in the fashion show. So we see, everyone. We see her getting ready. They're putting the accessories on the models. So we see all the ladies show up. So everyone showed up with the exception of Meredith 2.0, Lisa. So when Mary comes in, she sees Heather and she sees Jen. And, she sees where she's sitting. I would have been like, Mary, you know what? I'm going to sit by the girl. It is what it is. She say something to me, she say something to me. If she don't, she don't. It is what the hell it is. Now, what I did want to know was what the hell did Mary have on that sparkly shit? I will say in the fashion show, Whitney did an amazing job with walking. Now, this is going to be probably the one and only time that I do agree with something that Jen said in this episode throughout this whole season. It's going to be the only time that I agree with Jen. So, once, Meredith came down the aisle, Meredith walked the runway as well. And then when Brooks came out with his clothing line, I was just looking, I'm like, wait a minute. So was that the same tracksuit? Because I was looking at that tracksuit. There was nothing too differential about them tracksuits. Only thing, because the one tracksuit has Brooks, his name going down this. Then there's another one that doesn't have it. I'm like, those tracksuits are all basically the same design. Give or take that, whatever, that Velcro like shit, give or take that, but they're all pretty much the same. I will say this about Brooks. He's so whiny. I don't get it. You're 21 years old. Yes, would it have been nice to have your father there? 100%. But dude, stop whining like a little baby and a brat. So then we later see Meredith as she's having dinner with Jen and with Heather. Now, I think we might have missed something, because when Heather asked Meredith about her relationship with Seth, she didn't seem taken off guard. So I'm wondering if they had a conversation off camera before, meeting, because Heather and Meredith never had a conversation about her relationship with Seth. Jen spilled the beans to Heather, but whatever. So, they asked about, the guy that Heather hooked up in the last week's episode. Heather said it was a short-lived flame because he lives in Atlanta and LA. So then, Meredith is talking about she and Seth, and she says that, she and Seth, they need to resolve some things, with each other and as a whole, before they can figure out where to go. So, Heather was talking about a whole phase, and Meredith let it be known that she's not seeing anyone. I'm like, bullshit, Meredith. You got another dude on the side. You might not want to say it, but you got one. And that leads me to what I'm going to talk about in just a minute with Whitney. It ain't nothing dealing with Whitney, but it's something with one of her friends that I got something to say about. So let's go ahead and move on, you guys. All right, you guys, and then let's wrap the episode up with Whitney. So we see Whitney and her dad and her kids. So they go out. Her dad's hair looked a little bit better, wet, but it was still an atrocious mess. So, you guys know her dad went to the sober living. Now, he's only been in a sober living for 21 days. And I think it was recommended for him to be in there for what, 90 days, I think she said. So he said that he's talked to somebody at the sober living and they think that he is at a good point where he can move out into his own apartment and get a job. I'm like, and I'm actually thinking about what Whitney said in a previous episode when she said that he went to Vegas and almost lost his shit. And that was just before you went to, that's the reason why you went to the sober living. But now that you've been in sober living for 21 days, they feel that you're ready to get your own apartment and a job. Yeah, I'm as apprehensive as Whitney was. I'm like, I don't know about that. Especially if you left rehab, didn't go to the sober living, went to Vegas, almost had a meltdown, and now you're in sober living for 21 days. What, I just don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because I'm actually on Team Whitney with that one. So then, we later see Whitney in the episode. So she has Jen over to her house, and, they're going to do some workouts on the pole. Jen ain't got no kind of rhythm or movement on that pole. Now, here's my thing with Jen. They were talking about she and Sharif. Whitney asked how was she and Sharif. She says she's fine. And I think she was talking about the fact that she has a sex toy. I'm thinking that's what it was, because she asked Whitney how many times does she and Justin have sex. She says about 4 or 5 times during a week. So then Jen see, this is my problem with Jen. You want to bring up other people's business. Like, talk about your business. Why is your husband not home? Let's address that elephant in the room. Why is your husband not home? Your husband is not an assistant coach. Your husband is an assistant coach. Your husband is not, the head coach. This is not a Big Ten school. This is not, UCLA. This is not Texas Tech. This is not Baylor. This is not, what are some of the other schools that I can't think of right now? Like, this is not some of those big colleges and universities. This is not, what's TCU? We realize I'm naming Texas schools right about now. This is just not those schools. So, Virginia Tech, this is, Duke. This is not one of those schools. So why is your husband not home? And even with, football, basketball, those are seasonal sports. Your husband's season should be ended. Why is he, So yeah, Jen, you deflecting as well, but you bringing up other people's business. So Jen is talking about the fact that she feels like, with Meredith and Seth, that she feels that Meredith has a guy on the side, which we've been saying that, but because she's talking about, Meredith might be getting attention from another man. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, why is this your place to mention this? You have a bad habit of spilling other people's tea. Like, I couldn't be friends with somebody like Jen. I really could not. Jen is just the type of chick that I just would not rock with. If I did rock with them, I would, to catch her up, because I've done this plenty of times to people who I don't trust. And people say don't trust them, that they spread your business. I have done this in certain situations. I will tell a person something that is completely untrue. I will tell it to them just to see if it gets around. And it's happened once before. I'm like, oh. And I've told a lie before to a person, one wasn't even true. I just wanted to see if they would run back and tell other people. And it happened. I'm like, thank you for telling. When we come back to my mind, thank you for telling me that. I'm like, that wasn't true. I'm like, I told that person that just to see if they were gonna run around and tell my business. Because like my grandmother always told me about people. Well, she didn't have to tell me this, because I'm a good read of character, and I'm a good read of character. I can read your character, and I'm a good, I have a good judgment when it comes to people. But she always told me, though, the same. If they gossip with you about other people, they can gossip about you to other people. And that's what Jen does. That's Jen. That's a perfect example for Jen. But yeah, you guys, I just wasn't here for that. But be sure to that's actually gonna wrap it up for me for this week when this episode. So you guys, I won't see you guys anymore until Sunday for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Power Book 2, and Real Housewives of Potomac. Wait, nope, Atlanta's off this week, so I won't see you guys again until Sunday for Potomac Reunion Part 3. Got some stuff to talk about with that, and Power Book 2. So I hope you guys have a safe and wonderful holidays. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or Christmas, I hope you guys have a safe and happy holiday. And I will see you guys Sunday. And also remember, you guys, to like this video, leave your comments in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, share the video. And until next time, you guys, please, you guys, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember, wash your hands, wear your mask, and socially distance. You guys, I know the holidays are here, but let's still adhere to the social distancing. We want to go into 2021 in a better state than we came in, and leave 2020 behind us. But until Sunday, you guys, I hope again you guys have a happy holiday, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.